Welcome to the deep dive. We're all about unpacking some seriously fascinating ideas, and today's topic is something we all struggle with, feeling stuck like our choices are kind of limited.
Yeah, that feeling of being trapped by circumstance is something we can all relate to, I think.
So today, we're going to try to break free from those patterns, at least mentally, with The Structure of Magic.
Oh, this is a good one.
It's by Richard Bandler and John Grinder.
Yeah.
And it draws on the wisdom of some pretty heavy hitters like Virginia Satir and really digs into this idea of the magic of human communication.
Right. And when we say magic, we're not talking about like pulling rabbits out of hats.
Right.
It's more about understanding the deeper structures of how we interact, both in those like powerful moments of connection.
Right.
And also in the context of like therapy.
Yeah, and the book jumps right into a really powerful concept right off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
The world is not the map.
I love that.
It argues that we don't really experience reality directly, but rather through these like mental maps or models we've built up over time.
It's like trying to navigate a new city with just a really basic roadmap.
Oh, totally. Like when I went to London a few years back, my map only showed the main streets,
Right.
It wasn't until I started exploring that I discovered all these amazing little alleys and shops tucked away.
Exactly. And those mental maps, like your London map, they're really useful.
Oh, yeah.
But they can also oversimplify things.
Right.
They delete information, distort our perceptions, and even lead us to generalize based on limited experiences.
Yeah, it's like we're seeing the world through a filter.
Exactly.
And the book has this really cool analogy to illustrate this.
Okay.
Imagine someone flashing playing cards on a screen,
Okay.
but some of the cards are messed up. Like picture a red six of spades.
Okay. Yeah.
Our expectations are so strong that we might actually see a red six of spades, even though it's not really there.
That's wild.
Right?
Like our minds just fill in the blanks based on what we expect to see.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder what else we're all misinterpreting out there.
All the time, problem.
Right. It's like we're all wearing these funky glasses that are altering how we see things.
And the craziest part is we're often completely unaware of it.
Totally. So in a way, we're kind of filtering reality through these maps we've created without even realizing it.
Think about it. How many times have you generalized from a few bad experiences or ignored positive data that didn't fit your assumptions?
Oh, all the time.
Right? Or even like twisted information to confirm your pre-existing beliefs.
Oh, it's so true.
We limit our choices and potential by clinging to those outdated or incomplete maps.
So then how do we even create these maps in the first place? They seem so ingrained.
Well, that's where language comes in.
Okay.
The book dives deep into the idea that language is the architect of our internal maps.
Oh, wow. The power of words.
Absolutely. Our words shape how we perceive and experience the world around us.
Makes sense. We use language to describe our experiences and, make sense of the world and connect with others.
Right. And Bandler and Grinder, they get into this thing called transformational grammar to break down how language works at its core.
Now, this might sound complicated, but I promise it's actually pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
The main takeaway is that your spoken words are just the surface.
Uh-huh.
The real magic lies in understanding the deeper meaning behind them, what they call the deep structure.
Yeah, the deep structure reflects our full linguistic model of the world.
Right, and it's this deep structure that often holds a wealth of information that gets kind of hidden or obscured in our everyday conversations. The book talks about this deletion process, which I found super fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Someone might say, I'm upset, but they've completely left out what caused their upset.
It's like a puzzle with missing pieces.
Exactly.
We do it all the time. We say things like, it's frustrating, without specifying what exactly is frustrating.
Right, and this deletion can lead to misunderstandings and keep us stuck in those unhelpful patterns we were talking about.
Absolutely.
Another concept that blew my mind was nominalizations,
Oh, yeah.
where we turn dynamic actions into static things.
It happens all the time.
Instead of saying, I'm stressed about deciding, we say, my decision is causing me stress.
Right. You're turning the action of deciding into this like static noun, a decision.
And by doing that, we lose touch with the process and our own agency in it.
Exactly.
Like we're giving away our power to this thing.
I never thought about it that way.
Think about a time you felt misunderstood.
Okay.
Could this deletion process be playing a role?
I have to think about that.
It certainly made me rethink some of my own communication patterns.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it really is about becoming more aware of the language we use and how it reflects those deeper structures you know?
It's like our words are clues to what's going on beneath the surface.
Exactly. And by understanding those patterns, we can gain some really valuable insights into our own thinking and the thinking of others.
And that's where the book goes from interesting to life-changing, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
They introduce this tool called the meta model.
Okay.
It's a set of questions designed to uncover those hidden meanings and assumptions lurking beneath our words.
Like a linguistic decoder ring.
Right.
I love that analogy.
It helps us crack the code of human communication.
Therapists use the meta model to help clients become aware of the deletions, distortions, and generalizations that are keeping them stuck.
It's like they're shining a light on the shadows of our language.
Exactly.
There's this great example in the book from a real therapy session.
Okay.
The client says, "Women don't like me."
Oof, that's a tough one.
Right? It sounds pretty bleak.
Yeah.
But using the meta model, the therapist gently challenges that generalization. They ask, which women specifically, and how do you know they don't like you?
Those questions seem so simple, but I can see how they'd be incredibly powerful.
Right.
They force the client to examine the evidence, fill in those missing pieces.
And often they realize that their initial statement was a huge overgeneralization based on very limited experiences.
Yeah, it's like suddenly seeing the world in high definition.
Right.
All those details come back, and the picture becomes much richer and more nuanced.
And that's the key, right?
Yeah, by recovering the full linguistic representation, clients can reconnect with the complexity of their experience.
And that opens up a whole new world of perspectives and possibilities.
It's like they're breaking free from those limiting mental maps and finally exploring new territory.
Exactly. And that leads to more empowered choices and lasting change, both for them and the people around them.
Absolutely. Now, we've been talking a lot about the power of words.
Right.
But the structure of magic also takes us beyond language.
Wait, there's more?
Oh, yeah.
So you're telling me there's communication happening beyond what we say?
Absolutely. Bandler and Grinder, they view nonverbal communication like body language and even dreams as analogical systems.
Okay.
They're different forms of communication that can reveal even more about our inner world.
It's like there's a whole other language being spoken beyond our words.
Exactly.
I've always been fascinated by body language, like how a simple gesture can speak volumes.
It certainly can. And skillful therapists are like master code breakers. They tune into those subtle signals to gain a deeper understanding of their clients' experiences and challenges.
The book mentions a technique called enactment, where clients physically recreate experiences.
Oh, yeah. It's about bringing the map to life.
It sounds intense.
It can be by actually embodying the experience. Clients can tap into emotions, sensations, and memories that might have been buried or repressed.
Wow.
It's like turning therapy into a living, breathing experience.
The book gives this incredible example of a client who's feeling overwhelmed, and she imagines herself at the edge of a crevasse, terrified of falling in.
Oh, wow.
Just hearing that makes my palms sweat.
The therapist guides her to explore this metaphorical space, to actually feel the ground beneath her feet, to find a way to climb back up.
So she's literally rewriting the map of her fear.
Precisely. And this highlights a crucial point. We all have different representational systems.
Okay.
Some of us are more visual, others more auditory, and still others more kinesthetic. By becoming aware of these systems, we can access more of our own inner resources and better understand how others communicate.
It's like learning to speak the language of our own minds and bodies.
Exactly.
So we've learned that we experience the world through these maps that aren't always accurate.
Right.
Language is super powerful in shaping those maps. And there's this whole other level of communication happening beneath the surface.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But in a good way, I'm already starting to see the world differently.
That's great to hear.
But this brings up an important question. If these maps are often unconscious, how do we even know where to start changing them?
That's where the meta model comes back in. Remember that linguistic decoder ring?
Oh, yeah.
It's not just for therapists.
Yeah.
We can all use those clarifying questions in our everyday conversations, in our relationships, even when we're just talking to ourselves in our heads.
It's like holding up a mirror to our own thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By asking those questions, we can start to see the deletions, distortions, and generalizations that are shaping our reality.
Yeah. I'm already starting to catch myself,
Oh, yeah?
saying things like, my job is so stressful, instead of, I'm feeling overwhelmed by my workload.
Right.
Just that small shift in language makes such a difference.
It does. It helps you reclaim your agency and identify specific areas where you can make changes.
And the book emphasizes that it's not just about the words themselves. It's also about our sensory experience. How we see, hear, feel, taste, and smell the world around us.
Our senses are the foundation of our experience.
It's like we're adding color and texture to those black and white maps.
By tuning into our sensory input, we can enrich our maps,
Hmm.
ground them in reality, and break free from those abstract limiting beliefs that keep us stuck.
So it's not just about changing our language, but also about being more present and aware in the moment.
Exactly.
It's a lot to take in, but in a good way.
It is. And remember, these maps aren't set in stone.
Right.
They're constantly evolving as we gather new information and have new experiences.
Yeah, it's a continuous process.
It's a lifelong journey of exploration and discovery. And the more we understand about the structure of our own magic, the more power we have to create the lives we truly desire.
I love that as we wrap up this deep dive into the structure of magic, I'm left with one final thought-provoking question.
Okay.
What aspects of your own mental map might be limiting you? What areas could you explore more deeply to enrich your experience and expand your choices?
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and never stop discovering the magic within yourself. You might be surprised by what you find.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time, keep those maps expanding and those possibilities unfolding.